Once upon a time, they walked red carpets lined with the protocol, posed beneath the gilded ceilings of royal banquets, and smiled through 1,000 camera flashes that never quite reached their eyes. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle weren't just a royal couple. They were a symbol of tradition colliding with modern rebellion. And then, in a bold stroke that shook the crown, they stepped away from it all. Not to escape responsibility, but to reclaim control. To find peace not in a palace, but in a place where chickens roam freely, where ocean winds hum lullabies through rose gardens, and where privacy isn't a privilege, it's a promise. Meghan Montecito, California. Nestled along the serene Santa Barbara coastline, 2 hours from the chaotic pulse of Los Angeles, Harry and Meghan have found more than a house. They've found sanctuary. A $14.6 million estate where stucco walls guard not just luxury, but intention. A place where family grows, not under public scrutiny, but under olive trees and sunshine. Gone are the stiff palace corridors, replaced by ivy-covered pergolas and a playground for Archie. This is where the Sussexes rewrote their story, not with royal decrees, but with garden soil, chicken coops, and the soft click of the gate behind them. It's not exile, it's elevation. From royal drama to coastal karma, this is the life they chose. And what a life it is. Their home isn't just impressive, it's cinematic. Tucked away on a quiet gated street in Montecito, Harry and Meghan's estate spreads over 7.4 acres of sculpted perfection, combining security, serenity, and show-stopping elegance. The numbers alone are dazzling. 18,671 square feet, 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, and a detached guest house, all wrapped in Mediterranean-style architecture and California cool. This isn't just their first home together, it's the first either of them has ever owned, and they chose to go big. Inside, the estate flows like a storybook, walls bathed in beige and soft whites, a regal library where old souls might write new chapters, a game room where laughter surely echoes, a formal dining room fit for royal gatherings, and a chef's kitchen that might just whisper recipes from Doria's soul food to royal feasts past. There's a home theater for cozy nights in, an arcade that turns back the clock, and a private elevator that ensures even luxury comes effortlessly. But this house wasn't just built to impress, it was built to live. The master suite is all romance, exposed wood beams overhead, a marble-clad ensuite bathroom, and a balcony where ivy tumbles down like poetry. And when Meghan's mother Doria visits, the guest house, complete with 2 bedrooms and 2 baths, offers her a retreat within a retreat. Step outside and you'll swear you've wandered into a modern-day Eden. A rose garden spills across the property like it's been lifted from Versailles. Olive trees sway like gentle guards. A quaint tea house hides among the greenery. And then there's Archie's world, a storybook playground in a children's cottage just for him, where imagination runs barefoot and joy is loud. Need a break from the fairy tale? Try the full-size tennis court, the lap pool shimmering beneath the California sun, or the quiet path to the chicken coop, affectionately named Archie's Chicken, where a squad of rescued hens now call home. In every direction, the estate reflects intention, care, and a lifestyle that marries glamour with grounding. They could have chosen any address in the world, but here, in this coastal hideaway near Oprah, and far from the chaos of Buckingham, Meghan and Harry didn't just find a house. They claimed peace, privacy, and a fresh page. Before she ever stood beside a prince, Meghan Markle stood tall in her own right, gracefully navigating a world that often underestimated her. Born in Los Angeles, California to Doria Ragland, a free-spirited social worker and yoga instructor, and Thomas Markle, a seasoned lighting director in Hollywood, Meghan grew up straddling 2 worlds, one of creativity and one of grounded wisdom. She was a biracial girl in a society that didn't always make space for nuance. Yet she learned early on that identity wasn't something to hide. It was something to honor. Her childhood was not drenched in privilege, but in purpose. Weekends were spent volunteering at soup kitchens. School days were filled with ambition, and evenings lit with her father's stories from television sets. By the time she attended Immaculate Heart High School, Meghan had already discovered the power of her voice and how to use it. She was the girl who wrote to Procter & Gamble at just 11 years old, challenging sexist language in an ad. That voice, strong, clear, unapologetically hers, would become her signature. She went on to major in theater and international relations at Northwestern University, sharpening her intellect while chasing her passion for performance. Hollywood came knocking slowly at first, a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal, a few supporting roles, auditions where she was told she wasn't black enough or white enough, but resilience became her co-star. And then came Suits. As Rachel Zane, Meghan brought brain and beauty to primetime, charming millions across 7 seasons and making her a household name. But fame didn't make her forget her foundation. Behind the scenes, she launched her lifestyle blog, The Tig, sharing everything from wine pairings to soul reflections. And she continued advocating for gender equality through her work with the UN and World Vision. Long before royal titles or tiaras, Meghan had been building her own crown, one made of activism, authenticity, and grace under pressure. She wasn't waiting to be rescued. She was already rewriting the script. And when fate introduced her to Harry, it didn't complete her story. It amplified it, because this was never about becoming someone's duchess. It was about becoming fully herself. He was born into a life mapped out by centuries. Prince Henry Charles Albert David, known to the world simply as Harry, entered the world in the private wing of St. Mary's Hospital, wrapped not only in blankets of luxury, but also in layers of expectation. As the second son of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, he was never meant to be king, but always expected to serve the crown. And yet, from a young age, it was clear Harry was more rebel heart than royal handbook. Losing his mother at just 12 years old wasn't just a tragedy, it was a trauma etched in public. He walked behind her coffin while the world watched, his face stoic but his soul cracked open. It was a moment that shaped him, not just as a royal, but as a man. For years, the world saw him as the party prince, the wild card with camera flash always nearby. But beneath the headlines was a young man searching for purpose, for grounding, for something that felt real. That search led him to the military, where he found both. Serving 2 tours in Afghanistan, Harry shed his royal title and earned the respect of soldiers who knew him not as a prince, but as one of them. It was there, among dust and duty, that he began his transformation, from royal son to humanitarian soldier. And it was there he found the inspiration to launch the Invictus Games, a global sports event for wounded veterans, embodying his belief that healing isn't weakness, it's power. Harry's journey has always been about reconciling 2 identities, the royal he was born into and the human he was becoming. He has spoken openly about his mental health struggles, about therapy, grief, and the cost of silence in an institution that so often demands it. And when Meghan came into his life, she didn't just offer love, she offered liberation. Together they questioned traditions, challenged narratives, and dared to walk away from a system that didn't allow them to be whole. When he left the UK with Meghan, tabloids screamed betrayal. But Harry saw it differently. It was never walking away, he said. It was stepping back. From duty? No, from dysfunction. He wasn't turning his back on legacy. He was turning toward legacy of a different kind. One built not in castles, but in causes. Not under crowns, but under clear skies. Freedom isn't cheap. But for Meghan and Harry, it's been an investment, and one that's paid off handsomely. Stepping away from royal stipends meant cutting ties with palace purses. No more taxpayer funding. No more official allowances. Just 2 global icons standing on their own financial feet. And in Twimmy, those feet are firmly planted in the world of multi-million-dollar success. Their estimated net worth today ranges between $60 million and $100 million, depending on which deals you count and which experts you believe. But one thing's clear, they've turned their platform into a powerhouse. The cornerstone of their fortune came early, a groundbreaking deal with Netflix reportedly worth $100 million. Through Archewell Productions, they've delivered documentaries, limited series, and heartfelt stories that shine light on resilience, humanity, and social justice. Harry and Meghan, their tell-all series, broke viewership records and global headlines alike. Critics once asked, how will they survive without the crown's coffers? In 2020, the answer is clear: by being bold, by being smart, and by being themselves. Because for all their royal lineage, it's their authenticity that's become their most valuable asset. Their inner circle has shifted too. Gone are the stiff advisors and palisades. In their place are thinkers, creatives, and changemakers. Oprah remains a neighbor and confidant. Meghan speaks with Gloria Steinem. Harry collaborates with tech executives on responsible digital platforms. They host guests in their lush garden, not for protocol, but for real conversations, shaded by trees and lit by purpose. In an era where headlines scream scandal and royalty often feels like a relic of the past, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have carved out a very different narrative. One not draped in velvet and protocol, but steeped in impact, empathy, and the bold reimagining of what it means to serve. Their foundation, Archewell, is not just a charity, it's a declaration. Launched in 2020 amid a firestorm of royal drama and media scrutiny, Archewell became the Sussex's way of saying, "We're still here, and we're still showing up." And they did, loudly, globally, and with receipts. According to their 2023 financials, Archewell raised $5.3 million in charitable contributions, with $1.3 million strategically deployed to programs that range from trauma recovery in war zones to digital safety for kids. One donor alone contributed a $5 million gift anonymously, a clear sign that their mission resonates far beyond palace walls and tabloid pages. But it's not the numbers that tell the real story. It's the human moments behind those grants. Like the $250,000 donation to Women's Wellness Spaci in Philadelphia, co-founded by first daughter Ashley Biden, to support women navigating trauma, or the $130,000 Lifeline to Humanity crew, which brings mental health care to families displaced by conflict in Gaza, Syria, Turkey, and beyond. Their giving isn't performative, it's deeply personal. After the tragic school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, they partnered with Kaboom to build healing play spaces for children. In the digital trenches, they invested $90,000 in the markup, a watchdog for truth in an online world flooded with misinformation. And in April 2024, they unveiled a stark memorial in New York, the Lost Screen Memorial, honoring 50 children who died from the consequences of social media harm. It was haunting, intimate, and exactly the kind of advocacy we never saw coming from a former royal couple. Meanwhile, Meghan, ever the quiet force behind community-centered change, has continued her grassroots activism. In January 2025, as wildfires ravaged California, she personally donated clothes, beauty products, and meals to displaced teen girls through Altadena, Teen Girls, and World Central Kitchen. No press junkets, no fanfare, just care. She also modeled shirts for the Alliance of Moms, raising funds for pregnant and parenting foster youth in Los Angeles. One more example of her relentless commitment to causes the mainstream often overlooks. And Harry, he's still walking the same dusty roads Diana once did. In 2020, he traveled to Angola with the Halo Trust, retracing his mother's iconic steps through a still active minefield. It wasn't a publicity stunt, it was a pilgrimage. And in that act, Harry quietly reminded the world that his royal blood carries more than a title. It carries legacy. Together, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have also supported vaccine equity through Vax Live, helped build networks like the Welcome Project for refugees, and founded the Parents Network to uplift caregivers in today's fragmented society. They don't just donate, they create programs, platforms, safe spaces, each one designed with surgical focus on long-neglected social wounds. Still, their journey hasn't been without criticism. Recent investigations into political ties, such as grants to organizations linked to Democratic circles, have sparked debate. But Archewell insists it remains nonpartisan, and so far there's no evidence that their actions are driven by ideology rather than service. And perhaps that's what makes their philanthropy so compelling. It's messy, human, evolving. Where once Meghan was criticized for breaking protocol and Harry for breaking tradition, they're now praised for breaking cycles of trauma, of digital abuse, of performative charity. Their philanthropy is not ceremonial, it's insurgent. It's radical in its emotional intelligence. And above all, it's rooted in the belief that empathy, not entitlement, is the foundation of true leadership. In the post-royal chapters of their lives, Harry and Meghan may have stepped away from the palace, but they've stepped into something much larger. The hearts and headlines of a world desperate for authenticity, action, and yes, hope. In this corner of California under the warm West Coast sky, Harry and Meghan have built something many dream of and few attain. A kingdom ruled not by tradition, but by choice, a kingdom of their own. Their story is far from over. But for now, it begins and blooms right here. If this journey through Meghan and Harry's Montecito life stirred something in you, whether it was admiration, curiosity, or just a breath of fresh coastal air, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that goes beyond the headlines. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and as always, stay royal in your own way.